Hi, Todd Wente here with Path to Progress for April 4th, 2025. Today's Friday, so I'm in my hat. I am also in my mobile office, getting ready to go into my physical office and thinking about the morning. This morning we got a beautiful sunrise going on, so my spirits are a little lifted because of that. I think that's very natural for most of us. Maybe one of these days I'll talk about that. But today I've been thinking about something else. I went on my walk early this morning, got in an opportunity to stretch my legs, get a little bit of exercise, get my morning routine taken care of. I try to do about 20 minutes of cardio every day during the winter months. It's generally a walk. During the spring and summer months, into the fall, it's generally a bike ride. And I try to make sure that it's at least 20 to 45 minutes. During the winter months, I make sure that I get push-ups in. During the summer months, I sometimes get those push-ups someplace else along the way. The reason that I'm sharing all of that with you is because it revolves very much around what I've been thinking about today, or at least one of the things that I've been thinking about. James Clear, in his book Atomic Habits, talks about the idea of minimum acceptable performance. I don't think he calls it minimal acceptable performance. It's something like that, though. That phrase, minimal acceptable performance, is one that I've used a lot over the last probably 6 to 12 weeks. The idea of minimal acceptable performance, and maybe it's been longer. Maybe it's been since September. Anyway, 6 months maybe. The idea of minimal acceptable performance is that as he describes it in Atomic Habits, is that we always set these grand ideas of what we want to do, and we base them around times when we're feeling motivated. And he said, but for things to really stick, sometimes we have to think about, what would we do when we're not feeling motivated? What would we do when we're tired? What would we be willing to do as our minimal level of acceptability? And then he shared a phrase that I heard probably 40 years ago. And that phrase is KISS. Keep it super simple. Although other people say it a little bit differently, the same idea comes through. Keep it simple. Simple is repeatable. When things get complicated, when things get complex, when there are more steps involved and more decision points and more deviations that are possible, when there are more adjustments that are necessary in order to get things done, they get hard. And then they get overwhelming. And then before we even get our day started, we're at a level of fatigue. The fatigue I'm talking about is not necessarily a physical fatigue, but it's a mental fatigue. And it's a mental fatigue that leads very quickly to some other very negative mental states, at least for me. Depression and self-doubt linger at the back of my mind much of the time. Anybody who's followed this channel for a long time will probably not be surprised by that statement. But that is part of what I deal with. All of us deal with stuff. That's part of what I deal with. And so I have learned for myself, if I want to make progress, if I want to keep my progress going, if I want to build momentum in the progress that I'm making, even as small as that progress is, it has to be based on a simple set of expectations, the minimums that I can do on a day. I have enough complicated stuff waiting for me in my physical office. My morning cannot be complicated. So why is this such a big deal? It's because today, as I was walking through that, I became very aware of just how critical that morning walk and morning push-ups and morning haiku that I do for this channel are for my sanity. On another day, I was talking about the fact that I really love being in bed, especially in the morning when it's dark and it's cold. But I make the choice to move. Talk about making it better, not worse. That was in that video. Well, in this one, it's kind of a continuation of that thought. We make things better long term by making things maybe not worse, but maybe a little more demanding in the moment. But we do it at the simplest level possible. Sorry, let me rephrase. I try to do it at the simplest level possible, at the easiest rung to reach for on the ladder. Not trying to run every day, not trying to ride 100 miles in a week. Sometimes I set those goals, but instead I just set the smallest one, the minimum acceptable performance. And on some days I'm motivated enough to do the big stuff. But on pretty much every day, I can do the minimums. When I keep it that simple, progress happens more easily. I've been thinking a lot about that today, so I figured I'd share it with you. I hope this has been useful. If you found it useful, please let me know. And in the meantime, we'll have more stuff coming. This has been the Path to Progress for April 4th. My name is Todd Wente. Nullum Diem. Hope to see you next time.